Miami-Dade County, under the leadership of Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, is moving swiftly to expand COVID-19 vaccine distribution to protect our community and move our economy forward. Vaccine supplies are currently extremely limited, and as the state provides more vaccines to the county, we are working hard to distribute them as fast as possible. Register for vaccine updates and get more information at miamidade.gov/vaccine. Get vaccinated, Miami-Dade County. It's our best shot for a strong, healthy community.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, it's 11 a.m., and it's time for the FIU Music Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM, where we present live weekly performances in the WDNA Jazz Gallery and feature students, faculty, and alumni from Florida International University School of Music. I'm your host and new FIU faculty, Dr. Russ Spiegel, and along with our producer, Dr. Karen Velaz, we'd like to welcome you to our show. Whether you're listening to us at home, in your car, or on WDNA.org/FIU, we are delighted to have you with us. Today, we are pleased to feature the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble under the direction of FIU Professor Mike Eckroth, and featuring FIU School of Music students Ivan Lucia on trumpet, who is a junior of jazz performance, Aaron Lawrence on violin, Frankie Reyes on electric guitar, Miguel Spitery, or Spitery, if I say it right, on electric bass, Ricardo Medina on percussion, Jazz Ricker on percussion, and Jesus Gallimore on percussion. The FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble explores historical and modern styles of jazz based on Afro-Caribbean rhythms and performance styles. And Mike, good morning to you.
Good morning, Russ.
So,
how you doing?
What do we have in store for us for?
Well, the first couple tunes we're going to do are kind of classics in a couple different periods of Latin jazz music. The first one comes from the Cal Tjader Band, the famous vibraphonist who really introduced to a lot of people the kind of Afro-Cuban sound in jazz in the 60s, early 60s,
right.
Late 50s, early 60s. So we're doing one of his tunes, which was actually written by the pianist Ray Bryant. It's called Cubano Chant. And after that, which we'll go straight into it, should I be introducing the tunes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, after
That's
that,
absolutely fine.
We're going to do a tune by the great pianist Chick Corea, 500 Miles High, which is also, I consider a Latin jazz classic standard as well.
Fantastic. Okay, the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble. Some nice stuff there. So, Mike, I have a couple questions for you.
Ask me.
All right. For example, how would students in the music school, how do they get into this ensemble?
Well, this is one of the ensembles of FIU, so you could express your interest in it if you're enrolled in our program, and there's actually a couple people who aren't. So, I mean, there's one fellow who's not here today who's a marine biology major who's also playing baritone saxophone. So it's kind of an ad hoc band. We don't have a set instrumentation yet, but it's all centered around different kinds of Latin jazz music and things that are coming out of the Cuban music and the Cuban rhythms. So we'll actually be doing one of those in a minute. But yeah, so the ensemble, there's a selection process for who's going to be in the ensembles at the beginning of each term, and so we decided who was going to end up here. I mean, I'm trying to stick with the instrumentation of multiple percussionists. So we need 3 drummers or at least 2. So if you're an FIU music student in our program, you could say, I would like to play in the Latin Jazz Ensemble. And that's something I'm interested in, and you definitely have a shot at it.
Cool. And when you're teaching students, what are some things that are really important to be looking out for in performing this style, or these styles actually, because there's more than one style of music?
Yeah, it's a very wide variety of music. It's a long history of music. So we started out by doing some things. I mean, you'll hear the next tune we're going to do is really more of a Cuban kind of descarga. It's a Israel Cachao Lopez tune that's coming next. So it's based in the more simple harmonic palette, but there's so much history in this music. So, I mean, we spent some time studying and playing through, kind of New York-based Latin jazz music and Cuban-based Latin jazz music. I mean, you should be keeping an eye out for what the different rhythms are. So and there's a lot of things that come out of son montuno, cha-cha-cha, the different kinds of Cuban rhythms that were used as kind of the basis for this genre of music. And then you have to have a good knowledge of jazz improvisation in general, because we're putting a lot of stuff in there that is a crossover. So knowing how to play this kind of harmony. We have one tune that we're going to do later that's a Freddie Hubbard tune that has some major 7th chords and some a little bit more advanced harmony. So you kind of have to be versed in kind of Afro-Caribbean music and the rhythms that are there, and also in mainstream straight-ahead jazz music too, to accurately, have a shot at this music.
Right, and Latin music, and especially because we're in a place where Latin music, it plays a very special role in the culture and the history here. There's also, but it's a very wide variety. I mean, we're talking about Cuban, we're talking about Afro-Caribbean, but there's also Brazilian.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. You could, you could spend a whole, multi-year study on the music of each country that's out there if you wanted to. But I mean, there is a general, there's a general kind of, I'm going to go back to the Cuban root of most of the stuff. If you want to talk about Tito Puente or Cal Tjader, that music was, that one kind of son rhythm was kind of the main thing that was happening rhythmically. So it's a big part of it. But I don't mean to, diminish anything else. There's many rhythms that come into this.
Of course.
I think it's familiarity with those things and being willing to understand the groove that's there. And adherence to the groove and the rhythm of the music as your first thing that you're thinking about. You take care of that first. Then after that, you think about the other layers of the music that's going on.
Right. So when you're choosing your tunes for the band, how do you go about that?
Well, in this case, I wanted to do some historical things that would be, within, the limits of a group that was just getting started in this genre. So, we did something from Tito Puente, we did something from Cal Tjader, we're going to do an easy Palmieri tune later, and we have the Chicoria tune is kind of a jazz standard, so everyone's pretty familiar with it. It had a little bit more, chord changes going on, and of course that's from the fusion period, so there's a lot of other influences that go in there, but it could be played in the style we played. So I tried to stick to things that were simple enough that we could dig into them right away, that didn't have too much going on, and we didn't do, we're just getting started with this group. So as we go, I think the arrangements will become more complex, and we'll be able to dial more, more aspects of the music into what we're doing.
Right, and for anybody who's listening, like to the show, could you give some other names, some other examples of people who's great to start listening to? Yeah,
I mean, I think in terms of, just straight up Latin improvisation, one of the big influences would be the Descarga recordings of Cachao, because there's a ton of instrumentalists on there that are all soloing well and in the style and kind of just creating the style. So I'm talking about things from the 50s by Cachao. So you could find the Cuban Descarga albums. They have different titles depending on where you're getting it from, but there was a series of albums that came out in that period. So you'll learn a lot about the improvisation. Then you can go to the New York big bands that had something to do with it too, Machito, and to a lesser extent Tito Puente and groups like that that were big bands in the 50s.
Mario Bauza.
Mario Bauza was a member of Machito's band. There's a lot of influence there. There's recordings of Machito with Charlie Parker. So, I mean, there's just tons of crossover. There's tons of history. New York City was a big center of the development of this particular angle on jazz. Of course,
Dizzy Gillespie's big band as well.
Dizzy Gillespie's big band, which is also contemporary. So, and that was one of the first groups to have, or the only group to have John Opozo in it, because he died soon after he recorded with that group and helped compose some of Dizzy's biggest hits that were kind of Latin tunes. So yeah, so we talk about Dizzy Gillespie, and then I talk about Cal Tjader as an important spot too, because he had Willie Bobo and Mongo Santa Maria. Mongo Santa Maria went on to have his own band, and we're actually we have a Mongo tune up today if we have time for it as well. So the '60s was also a big moment, I think, for the development of the style. So if you just start with the names I mentioned right now and go forward into today and see, who played in whose band and then who was a band leader afterwards, you'll kind of see how everything's developed to the point where it is today, which is, a lot more esoteric than what we're doing on stage here today.
Excellent. So, enough of the talking. Let's get back to the music.
That was a lot.
And what are we going to hear?
We're going to do a Cachao piece, Chanchullo. And unsurprisingly, it starts with the bass. Miguel.
You're listening to the FIU Music Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM with the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Mike Eckroth. We'll be right back after these messages. As this is finals week at the University of FIU School of Music, we'll not be hosting any concerts this week. However, next week on December 16th, there will be Beethoven's birthday concert. At 8 p.m. at the Wertheim Concert Hall, the Friends of Chamber Music of Miami, in partnership with the FIU School of Music, present a concert in celebration of Beethoven's birthday featuring the esteemed Anis Quartet. For this and many more exciting events, you can find information at fiu.universitytickets.com or MusicTix, that's Music, T-I-X, at fiu.edu. And now, back to our show with the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Mike Eckroth.
One, you ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1.
Listening to the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Mike Eckroth with the FIU School of Music students Ivan Lucia, Aaron Lawrence, my apologies again, Frankie Reyes, Miguel Spitery, Ricardo Medina, Jazz Ricker, and Jesus Gallimore on the FIU Music Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM. I've been your faculty host, Russ Spiegel, and along with our producer, Karen Veloz, we'd like to thank our production crew and the staff at WDNA 88.9 FM, including my assistant, Najee McLean, and Alex Aldrich on the sound for today's broadcast. If you would like more information on all our programs, make sure to call 305-348-2896, or you can like our Facebook page, FIU School of Music, and Instagram, FIU Music, to stay up to date with all our upcoming performances. Thank you so much for joining us, and make sure to join the FIU Music Hour for more great music every Tuesday, 11 a.m. to noon. Next week, our guest will be the Ruben Caban Group. Thanks again to my guests, the FIU Latin Jazz Ensemble, and what are you going to play for us?
We got a little, for our outro, a little picadillo from Tito Blanco.
Sounds like lunch to me.
Miami-Dade County, under the leadership of Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, is moving swiftly to expand COVID-19 vaccine distribution to protect our community and move our economy forward. Vaccine supplies are currently extremely limited, and as the state provides more vaccines to the county, we are working hard to distribute them as fast as possible. Register for vaccine updates and get more information at miamidade.gov/vaccine. Get vaccinated, Miami-Dade County. It's our best shot for a strong, healthy community.